off topic, we back. Can't always get content in clients' places, people's homes, personal. But did have the interaction with the client that I just had was nice. They already had a plan for the height and location of the artwork that they wanted, but there was some uncertainties, and so it was my job to get creative in thinking about how to get them what they wanted. The client and her husband wanted, had kind of two different heights, but they agreed upon a certain height. So I went and or suggested that I would measure the height based on what they asked, and then compare that with the kind of standards of the industry as far as where the center of the artwork should be. And then there was another artwork in the room, so I also considered measuring the center of the artwork that was already hung in the room, but it was a bit too high to match it with the artwork that I was hanging. And the artwork I was hanging was large enough that if I used a slightly lower height on it, it wouldn't show anywhere across the room, so you wouldn't typically see them and compare their centers as much. So a lot of it was giving the client the confidence that their decision was good, and base that on my professional suggestion, and then also changing the hardware. They had like 2 eye hooks, and then some wire on the eye hooks. And so with the eye hooks, they poke out the back a considerable amount, so then the artwork will be leaning forward a lot when it gets hung on the wall. And so we changed that out and used different hardware that would make it a bit flatter to the wall. And the client's concern, they wanted to just put like one wire or one wire across it, then like one hole in the wall. But we have certain standards with the company where we want to guarantee like the safety of the artwork on the wall. So we typically do 2 points to hang the artwork from, to ensure that it stays balanced and that it's that much more difficult for it to like come off the wall, which it shouldn't, because the depth of the stuff coming off. So did he just throw something out there? That's crazy. So that's probably what I'll be doing throughout most of the day. I gotta go do a pickup next, but I got finished a little bit early. Also, there was another artwork by the same artist that they had already hung, so we looked at it and determined that it could go up a little bit higher based on the light they had. So I reinstalled the artwork in order to give it a better viewing in the space. So it was a table below with a few items on it, and then the light, the art light that was installed in the wall. So I wanted to balance out the negative space between the two, so that there was more light getting onto the artwork, but it still didn't feel too far from the table below it. So typically you want the artwork to feel connected to like a dresser or a table or something, even a couch. You want there to be a relationship between the two when you hang it. So I wanted to keep that, which I had really well in where it was already hung, but put it a little bit higher. So it was cool. I'll say her husband had installed the artwork in the entryway, and it wasn't a bad job for somebody who doesn't do it on a day-to-day. Like put an anchor in the wall, put a screw in the wall, use a wire. But we have methods in which we can make that a lot more professional and safe. So that's all y'all can get to today. I got more work to do today. That's what I'm gonna do. Peace. And then treat yourself. Super dedication. You gotta get to where you gotta get. So I'm making progress. I'm trying to figure out the neck right now. I'm not sure where on the body or around the body, or how it gets, from one part of the composition to the next. Right now I'm working on this idea of this just back and forth motion in front and behind, but I'm having an issue dealing with how to connect the top of the head or the start of the neck to this segment here. What I haven't considered yet is having the neck go backwards. It feels like it should lean forward, but I have to see. I might have to mess around with it some, because I don't know if I'm just doing the most or doing too much in this area to warrant doing what I'm doing. But what I do know I want to keep is this halo like crown, thinking about how that imagery gets inputted on like a Basquiat type piece, and how just kind of recognizable that imagery is. And this is the first time that idea really came to light. And I don't know if it's just the imagery that brought that out. Placement of the head, it just seemed like a good opportunity to do this. So that's one thing I know I'm sticking with, and just trying to figure out how to move the necks around to make it all feel like it makes sense. But I really love what's happening up there. Probably got to work this curve out a little bit more. Keeping that part simple since it's so large and taking up so much space. I like this as negative space, so leave that part of the design open. I might do the designs on the floor, which is just like tiles, just to bring some depth into the composition. But this is the progress I'm making this morning. Don't know if I'll be able to get to something like this evening. Got to go to work, so other creativity today might end up being installing art. So let's see how creative that gets today.